Hello and welcome to Lost in Sci-Fi and Fantasy, where this week we are talking about James Gunn's Superman. Now, this film was highly anticipated by me because while I'm not a super big DC fan, I do love like the Batman films overall and whatnot. This wasn't highly anticipated for me because I wasn't all that into the Snyder films. They were okay and whatnot, but they just didn't quite work. DC really dropped the ball when they were trying to get a universe that was coherent. It took a lot of time for Marvel to get to where it was, and DC tried to play catch up and failed hard. But with that, we're focusing on the James Gunn film. In the lead up to this, there was a lot of discussion as to what was going to happen. It was originally called Superman Legacy, and we can kind of see where that was coming from when you actually watch the film. This film is the first film in the new DC universe, but it is not the first property, as the first property was technically Peacemaker Season 2 and Creature Commandos. I think it was Creature Commandos, then Peacemaker Season 2. All that was before we started in with Superman. But for most people, they will have started with Superman because it's the new film and that's the more appealing thing for the general audience to try to come into. So how is it for the general audience? Overall, it's okay. It's a little bit heavy on the text at the beginning, but it does provide all the context that you need for this film. And it uses a lot of threes. So what it is they are starting this universe, I guess, in medias res. Basically, it's a cold open. The universe is established. They don't have to try to slowly introduce heroes. Heroes are a thing. Metahumans are a thing. All we need to do is actually be introduced to them, but with this film, you can assume that they exist. And a lot of them, or at least a lot of types of them, are shown explicitly. And I appreciate that. It's similar to the new Spider-Man films. We didn't need to see another Spider-Man origin, even though technically the entire trilogy technically is the origin. In the actual experience of the hero, we don't have the Uncle Ben getting shot. You know, he's like a normal guy, gets bit by a spider, Uncle Ben shot, and then he becomes a hero. We didn't need that again. We already had that twice now. So we have an established Spider-Man in that universe, who then reacquires Spider-Man-dom by the end of the trilogy. Because technically, yes, the trilogy is the origin story. That's beside the point. Anyway, with this, we start with an established universe. Again, heroes are a thing. 300, they've been around for like 300 years. And for 30 years, Superman's been on Earth. For 3 years, now he's been Superman, so he has been doing this. Then it goes like 3 hours ago, these villains were attacking. 3 minutes ago, he lost for the first time. And then it cuts to the beginning of the film, where he crash lands in Antarctica and is rushed into his secret sanctum to be healed by his Superman androids. He's healed, and we are introduced to his parents. You know, the classic Superman thing. So while he heals, he listens to the recording of his birth parents from Krypton. But the crystal thing is corrupted, and so he only ever gets like the first half of the message. He doesn't know what the rest of it says. So he comes back to finish the fight just to once again get beat up. The guy that he's fighting claims to be part of a country that is at war with another country. And the situation, while James Gunn didn't say it was a one-to-one thing, and it wasn't intended to be this, is very similar to the situation with Israel and Palestine, where essentially a similar-ish situation is happening, and Superman had intervened because he wanted to protect the innocent people. But villain is claiming to be getting revenge based off of what he did in those countries. The guy flies off, and Superman's kind of left considering if what he did was right. He still feels that what he did was right, but he's unsure-ish. Not entirely, but, you know. Anyway, this was all a ploy by Lex Luthor to get the location of Superman's secret sanctum. One of his other modified people went out and tracked Superman. And now he is prepped to make an expedition out to his secret sanctum. Basically, everything Lex Luthor is doing is just trying to keep Superman on his back foot. And he sends out like a little guy who the next day grows to be a big guy. And this is again just to kind of keep Superman busy while he goes and infiltrates the secret sanctum. The kaiju attack. Superman's doing fine. His main thing is just keeping people out of the way, and he wanted to get the kaiju out of the city, ideally. But then the Justice Gang intervene. The Justice Gang is comprised of Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl, and they are kind of this corporate superhero group that is funded by Max Landis? No, that might be a real guy. Maxwell Lord, I think it is, who is played by James Gunn's brother. He is funding this superhero group that calls themselves kind of the Justice Gang, and the corporateness of them is relatively irrelevant, but yeah. They come in for the assist because Superman's playing too defensively. They kind of come in and kill it. They put a bomb in it and blow it up, and it dies and crashes. Superman's sad because he wanted to, try to not kill it, and he also wanted to, if anything, get it out of the city before doing anything to it. But what is done is done. He also has a discussion with Lois at some point about whether or not she thinks that he did the right thing, and they get into this kind of argument because he doesn't really do interviews much, and so he does a mock interview with her, and she, being the kind of hard-headed, nose to the grindstone reporter who's willing to get a scoop, like do anything to get the scoop, she kind of hits him with some harder questions, what she would ask him if she didn't know him and was interviewing him. And this kind of does put some strain on their relationship a bit. And they're still kind of in an awkward phase of their relationship. Because they've only been seeing each other for about 3-ish months, give or take. I think it's one of the things in the weird countdown that they have that has a lot of 3s in it. But they're at an awkward stage in their relationship. He then goes... So we follow Lex Luthor a bit on his expedition, and he finds a crystal. The crystal with his parents' message on it. They take his dog as well, because Krypto's here. Krypto is around. And is around. So they take Krypto, and they take the crystals, and they decode it. And they send out a message. Because they're able to decrypt the corrupted part of the message. And it's basically... So it's the normal, nice message, and everyone's like, okay, that's sure. Then the rest of the message plays out. The rest of the message is basically, you are going to conquer these people. We are sending you there to conquer them. And you'll be a king amongst them, and you will be tasked with almost single-handedly restarting the Kryptonian race. So go out and spread, essentially. So this obviously causes a lot of controversy. And he does try to occasionally, fight it. He's like, hey, no, whoa, what are you talking about? I knew nothing about this. I only ever heard the first half of the message. So there's that. And so he goes back to his sanctum to see what the hell. How did this get out? Someone broke in. A lot of my guys are broken. Oh, where's my dog? Where's my dog? So he goes and confronts Luthor. He bursts into Luthor's office. And he's like, dude, where's my dog? Why'd you take my dog? And he's like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Ooh. So this starts kind of an all-out-ish war. Because while this is happening, literally Lex Luthor is trying to stoke a war to have, I think it's like Baravia go into Jaranpur, or it's Jaranpur into Baravia. I can't quite remember which one is which. But he's trying to stoke the war to help that guy out. For land purposes, it's weird. It's always a land deal with Lex Luthor. And so Superman is hunting around everywhere for his dog. And when he's not able to find it, he goes to Lois, all sad. He, in the background, is letting the Justice Gang take care of I think he called it some kind of like sprite or imp or whatever. And he's like, they can handle it. So he leaves that to them, and he's just having a sincere conversation with Lois, saying like, hey, I messed up. My dog. I'm still looking for my dog. So what he does is he turns himself in, essentially, to Lex Luthor / the U.S. government, because while this is going on, of course, there's been a lot of discussions about Superman's intentions and everything. So he's lost the trust of the people. So he turns himself into the government, and thus Lex Luthor, because he has a contract with the government, where he is then shoved into a pocket dimension. And in this pocket dimension is like a bunch of villains or whatnot, or super powered beings. It's also where Lex Luthor is storing his hate campaign against Superman, which is just a bunch of monkeys that he genetically modified or experimented on in some way to make them kind of intelligent-ish. But the whole joke is it's monkeys and typewriters. But he locks Superman in with, what's his name? Morph? Something like that. I can't remember his name, but it's a guy that's comprised of like many things, and he can become specific materials, and he becomes kryptonite to keep Superman weak and locked in the thing. And while this is happening, Lois is investigating further to see like how Lex Luthor did this and whatnot. She tries to get some help. She's trying to find Superman because of the fact that he was taken. So she tries to get some help from the Justice Gang, and only Mr. Terrific is willing to kind of help her. And they're able to track down where he was being held, as well as a few other things. Superman is able to convince the guy that he'll help him and his kid if he helps him escape. They do. He's reunited with Crypto. Mr. Terrific and Lois are able to fight their way to the other side of the portal to help him get out. He's then taken to, because he isn't doing super well after that situation, so he's taken home to heal a bit, where he gets to have a nice frank discussion with his dad, Pa Kent. And a lot of people were kind of put off by this Pa Kent, but I think it's the most like actual realistic down-to-earth Pa Kent we've gotten, and I really enjoyed that, because that's supposed to be the point of Mon Pa Kent, is that they're just people, and these are the most people-y Mon Pa Kent that you can have. Like, they're very folksy, and they're very obviously from like central Kansas, and I think that works out really well. But anyway, Lex Luthor then puts into action his plan of just kind of overwhelming Superman by doing multiple attacks and whatnot with his like weird gang of modified people, where it turns out that he cloned Superman. From one of their fights, he cloned Superman, and so now he has to fight this Superman clone who it doesn't really see very well. All while his pocket dimension is also collapsing in on itself and threatening Metropolis, and it ends up kind of splitting the city in half. Luckily, Superman is able to get an evacuation done early enough that everybody's able to get out of the town or the city, and he actually helps the last person get out safely, while he then proceeds to fight in the empty city against all of the villains. He's able to deal with them one by one, though he does struggle a bit because a lot of them, well, they were specifically kind of engineered to fight him. Specifically, this Superman clone was also definitely made to fight him, to where he literally is technically controlled by command from Lex Luthor as he deals out specific fights that he's supposed to do, like fight moves. But he is able to fight them off, and he even is able to fight and defeat Luthor, and they're able to close the portal and get things put back together. And that's it. He goes back to the secret sanctum to kind of relax a bit, and he's like, oh, play me the thing of my parents. And they're like, yes, you like that. And instead of it being his Kryptonian parents, it's his Earth parents, because they are the ones who made him who he is, not the Kryptonian ones. And that is very sweet. Then Supergirl comes to pick up Krypto, because Krypto's actually her dog, and leaves for her movie, which is going to be next episode, which comes out in like a month or so. Very excited. Anyway, then there's a post-credit scene that doesn't really have anything to do with the plot, but it is very funny, where Superman and Mr. Terrific are staring at a wall where the city had like been rejoined, and it's like slightly off, and Superman doesn't really want to say it, but he does. He's like, it's kind of crooked. And Mr. Terrific's like, what? You want me to reopen it and try to get it better the next time? And he's like, no, I was just pointing it out. Like, you did a good job. But yeah, overall, I found this to be a very fun and good movie. It was very lighthearted, but was able to tackle issues that are very important, especially nowadays, while being quintessentially Superman. Part of the issues that I had with the Zack Snyder thing, because while I said I'm not going to talk about it much, I do still need to talk about how Superman was handled and everything before this. This Superman is probably the closest we've had, save for maybe Brandon Routh from fucking Superman Returns. This is probably the closest we've had to like an actual happy, good Superman. And it's a Superman that we see him do more than just the big thing. We don't have to deal with his origin. We don't have to deal with, the slow introduction. He is an established part of this world. And it does tackle big questions that do revolve around Superman, like, if someone with this power existed, how would they use it? And if they used it in the way, like, in what he deems good ways, how would that affect the world politically? Because technically, Superman could completely break down everything, but he could also build it up. He could, and that's part of the main conflict of the film, he could take over, rule everyone with an iron fist, and they wouldn't be able to do jack diddly about it. But it is his upbringing and the fact that he was raised on Earth by two normal-ass parents, that he was instilled with a sense of justice and a sense of right and wrong, that yes, he's going to make judgment calls based off of that, and he might make mistakes along the way, but technically overall what he did was the right thing. One of the things that also, because when the war in Jaranpur is kind of getting ready to kick off again, people are expecting Superman to potentially get there. But instead, he was able to get the help of the Justice Gang to go in his place while he dealt with the stuff in Metropolis. And he was able, through them, to still save the people. And I think that is probably what I like most about this, and why I'm looking forward to seeing more of this, is it just feels nice. Man of Steel is an okay film, but it is drab and depressing and very brutalist, where this film is full of life and color and hope. It's just so comforting. The big issue that the Snyderverse had was it was trying to rush. It was going for a darker tone that Zack Snyder loves for some reason, and it doesn't work. Superman isn't drab. It isn't depressing. Does he have sad moments? Sure. Does he have depressing moments? Sure. But it is not what he is. It's not how he exists. You need to treat Superman as a being of kindness and a being of hope, without trying to cop out saying that the S on my chest stands for hope. Bullshit. The Snyderverse, their second film being Batman v Superman, was a mistake. That was them trying to beeline towards Justice League by doing 3 films beforehand. And that's with Wonder Woman being the same year, just like a few months apart from Justice League. It was a mistake. It was bad. But those were the choices that were made. And you were trying to build this universe that's supposed to be built off of like colorful superheroes, and you make it all drab and one note. I'm very excited to see where the James Gunn DC universe goes. So far, it is doing really well. The Creature Commandos are a very fun cartoon. Peacemaker is a very fun show. And Superman is a very fun and good movie. I'm very excited to see Supergirl next. And I'm very, very curious to see what they're going to do with Batman. In the meantime, we'll just have to wait and see. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching, listening, however you're consuming this. And I will talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.